Would you sing We Shall Overcome with me, please? We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. The truth will make us free. Truth will make us free. Truth will make us free. Truth will make us free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid today. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Whimsy, that was perfect. You know, I've heard that song many times, but I've never really listened to it like I did just right now and how it applies to our current situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think for some reason it never occurred to me the obvious how much of an influence Joan Baez has been on you as a singer. Your style is so similar to where I almost was thinking you should have been here with your guitar singing in the
Yes. Well, I don't think I could have done the justice that she did it, but and I'm
Wow.
just getting over this cold. But
Yeah.
boy, what a beautiful voice and what a beautiful message.
The
And
energy in that song.
do you think that before we turn around and say hi to all of you, and we do acknowledge you, I want you to know that Chuck and I do see all of you. We do. Even those of you who cannot afford memberships, Chuck and I see you. We think about you every day. We talk about you. We pray for you every day.
That's true.
We promise we will get to all of your comments. If you can share, like, and subscribe for this journey with us for Taco Tuesdays. I'm feeling very hopeful. I'm feeling very optimistic. There are a lot of reasons why. But now we're just talking about that song. You were going to say something, Chuck, about all of that and how the song resonated with you?
Well, it just resonated me in the moment for, shall I say, obvious reasons for what a lot of us are going through right now. Many of us are feeling fearful, dare I say it, traumatized, saddened, like the rug got pulled out from under us. I was holding, as it's no secret how much optimism I was holding for Kamala Harris. I put my heart and soul into this campaign. I donated a lot of hours of my time. I created a piece of artwork, which of course I showed several times, that I donated to raise money for her campaign. I really put myself into this because I believed so passionately in her. You know, I told you I was a fan of hers going back to 2016 when she was running for the Senate here in California. And on local television here in Los Angeles, I saw the Senate debate. And honestly, I was not familiar with her, but I was like, oh my God, it was like lightning went through me. I knew without any question this woman was going to be a major star on the national scene. Certainly in the Democratic Party, I never guessed it would go as far as the vice presidency or of her being the presidential nominee, not this soon, but I knew there was something extraordinary about her. I believed in
Yes,
her. I
something
wanted to
magical.
do everything I could to help her. It was magical.
Now, a lot
It
of
was
people
hope.
now a lot of people are coming up with a lot of reasons why she lost the election, and we can certainly talk about it. But before we do, I thought it would be nice if Chuck turned the camera around and said hi to everybody who has joined us. Anybody special in the mix today,
Well,
Chuck?
I'm just looking right here. It keeps moving on me. Giovanna,
So
Kimberly,
that's a good
Terry,
sign. That means
Sandy.
that there are people here. That's a good thing.
It's a very good sign. It's like a beating pulse. You know, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. But Terry, Sandy, am I saying? Oh, I hope I'm saying this correctly. It moved on me, and I'm looking. I'm looking through multifocal contact lenses, where you look through a tiny part of the lens. I should get my glasses on, but Tarina. Oh, here's an interesting name: Cave of Wonders. Catherine. Judy Jameson, the wonderful author we spoke to just a few weeks ago. She's here. Hi, Judy. Paula, Laura, Intuitive Kathy. We have a lot of our friends here. Just scrolling here. I don't repeat myself. Did I say Kimberly, Cindy, Laura, Teresa? Yes. Thank you all for joining us. It means a lot. You know, Whimsy, I was saying this to you before the show, and of course I said it. You know, in real life, I work as your assistant, and I make a lot of phone calls to people on your roster.
Yes,
And
thank you
I've been
for that.
speaking to people. Well, it's my job, but it's my joy because I get to know a lot of you out there personally. I've had a chance to speak to you on the phone and sometimes at length. And this week, you know, when I was making calls on Wednesday, you know, after the election, I was hearing it firsthand from you, how you were feeling, the sorrow, the trauma, the fear, the worry, the bewilderment, and how we all have to just find ways to cling together. We have to find ways to find love within ourselves, love for each other. You know, like we do have each other right now. But Whimsy,
Mhm.
you know, it sounds so cliche. It sounds so trite to say this, to say, oh, it's like when the second plane hit the tower on September 11th, 2001. But I'm hearing that from people. It's that fear, that bewilderment, that, oh my God, what's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to our future? What's going on? All the uncertainty. I'm getting that from people right
Yeah. Now, I recognize that the human brain plays tricks on us. And if you look at behavior, neuroscience, and human evolution, one of the things that the brain does is it tricks us into believing that everything is okay when it isn't, in order to get us to calm down.
Yes,
And
yes.
so it's our own survival technique. And so I think part of what happened to the collective of Democrats is that we got into a collective denial just
Mhm.
because psychologically we couldn't handle this could happen.
I know. I know.
So Your brain can play tricks on you.
Yeah. Well, I think many of us also we were holding on to the optimism that we had evolved higher than we actually have as a collective unit in this country. You know, it's
Yeah,
still
and I don't
apparent.
think we have, because we still have slave owners, and we still have people that believe in slavery, and they still are trafficking, and they still have their private islands where terrible things are going
Yeah.
on, and we still have the Epsteins of the world and the Trumps of the world and the
Mhm. There's so much
Elon Musk of the
misogyny.
world. Well, what I feel as a remote viewer, here's the main thing that I feel as a remote viewer when I go into their energy, and this is something that struck me in the last couple days. I feel like I am a loser, right? I feel my job as an empath is to feel the emotions of the other person. How do I feel when I'm with Donald Trump? Like I'm a loser. So when he looks at somebody like me, who am I? I'm a nobody. I didn't write a best-selling book.
Yeah.
Not yet anyway.
Not yet anyway. You will.
I don't have 100,000 fans on YouTube. I'm
You will.
trying.
You will.
If
You will.
by January, that was our goal. That was Debbie and I made Debbie, the creative director. We had a goal to get to 100K by January. I don't think it's going to happen, but gosh, we got close, didn't we? We're at
Mhm.
62K. So,
Mhm.
I spoke the word to Debbie. I want 100K by January 1st,
Yeah.
and I'm getting pretty gosh darn close. So
Well,
even if I don't make it to 100K, I did very well,
that's
because
a beautiful
I was
accomplishment.
only at like 20 something thousand when I made that statement to her.
You know, a big character flaw in myself is because I get so ambitious. I set these very lofty goals, and sometimes I'll get halfway there, three-quarters of the way there. I beat myself up for not hitting the goal, but yet not acknowledging, look how far I did come. I mean, 60,000 is incredible.
Yeah, and I think that the kind of person that makes us feel like we're a loser is somebody that feels like a loser.
Oh, yes.
So
Well,
they feel like such a loser that they only wanna be friends with people that I saw this a lot in Hollywood when I would live there, is that
yeah,
they don't wanna be friends with somebody that isn't in their class.
yeah,
They'll be your friend if you have a hit TV show, or
yeah.
it's always are you increasing or decreasing how good to other people?
Well, it's also who can you use?
Who can you use?
Yeah.
Um,
I see a lot of that here. I've lived here 39
and
years.
I've
Yeah.
been thinking lately that this world is a simulation. That this world is a simulation, and that maybe we all. I remember. I swear to God, I knew this kid in high school. Elon looks just like Elon Musk. He was a freaking geek. I think he went to Seattle Prep. I
Yeah.
swear we all knew this kid. And I'll tell you, I have a theory that you, me, and the rest of us went to school with this kid, Elon. And he said, come on in. I've got ayahuasca. I've got shrooms. I've got weed for you, Whimsy. I love you, babe. And I've got this new virtual headset. It's
Mhm,
really cool. I've put myself in. I'm
mhm,
the dungeon master. It's going to be so groovy. It's going to be
mhm.
so groovy. But I'm the
Oh,
dungeon master, and so you're going to enter. Put on the things, Whimsy. I'm going to give you everything you want. You're going to get that
uh-huh,
rebuild. You're going to get that rebuild in
uh-huh.
Gaza. Did you want it, Whimsy? Great. So put on the headset.
Mhm.
And so our friend Elon, who's a nice guy, right? Because he comes from source. We all come from God, therefore we're all ultimately good, right?
Mhm,
He
mhm.
sends us into this simulation that he's created, which is this world.
Yeah.
And then we get to decide when we've had enough.
Oh,
It's enough, Elon. You can turn off the simulation. The party's not fun anymore.
no. What is that? Stop the world. I want to get off.
But this is the part where I become a homicidal killer, and where I'll become, you guys won't know if I'm good or bad, and then you'll get confused because I will put in fresh drinking water in Flint, which will save lives. And then I'll also like rescue astronauts lost in space. But then simultaneously, I'll make rapidly racist and anti-Semitic statements that will make you think I'm Hitler, while simultaneously curing the world of its CO2 emission problems. It's like, won't it be a fun game to play? Put on the headset. And then we put on the headset, and it's like, Elon, I'm going to tell your mommy I'm never going to your house ever again. I tell your mommy what you did. I don't like this program.
It sounds like the ultimate mind F-K. It's just, I don't know. I've known people like this. Yeah.
Okay, so here is the one theory. Here's the next theory. And again, I apologize for the cough. I am getting over a cold. Here is theory number 2. Are you ready for theory number 2? Chucky Poo.
I am ready. Bring it on.
Is everybody here for the big reveal?
Yes.
Should I? Yes. Should I? Okay.
Whoa.
Do we need this? Okay, here's the big reveal.
Shake that tambourine, darling. Shake that tambourine.
This is a penal colony. Okay, you've all been convicted of a crime. You've all done something wrong. You've all screwed up. And then you get sent into a room and they say, I'm sorry, Dr. Whimsy, but when you prescribed Eye of Newt to your patient, it was a bad idea. There are going to be consequences for your actions. Well, what are the consequences? What's the hell I'm going to be put through that I'm a comedian / performance artist / psychic naturopath? Like, what are they going to do? Well, Whimsy, you're going to have to put on these headphones. Your friend Elon Musk, he works for the Defense Department. Yeah. Oh, shit, you're here too? You're here again with these damn headphones? Yes. And you're going to have to go into the simulation, Whimsy. Trust me, Whimsy. You're going to go into the simulation and you are going to give yourself the punishment that you think you deserve for what you've done in the past. And then when you feel you've had enough, you can see what's on the other side of the simulation. And what's on this other side of the simulation is you take off the simulation and say, well, I guess I was a bit of an asshole. Well, that's fine. You can go back to the heavenly realm or whatever dimension we're in, or maybe we're just workers in worker bees, aliens in some planet somewhere that have been caught doing something we shouldn't, and we had to put these headphones on to experience the lessons of our karma and our mistakes.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds like what's supposed to happen to us when we die and go to the other side, and we have to do a whole life review. That's what that's reminding me of. But
yeah, so what happens is you unplug from the simulation. You take off the when you die or when you check out. That could also be enlightenment. Enlightenment could be a kind of checking out. And then you see what's on the other side of the simulation.
Yeah, I'll go for that. But it's a lot to ponder because I do think a lot of people have a lot of reckoning right now, particularly for how they voted,
Well, let's talk about that. That is the next thing that is on the list. If you take a look at our list, first is, did you get a copy of the book of the month?
Oh,
Chucky Poe.
Did.
Yes.
In fact, I told you at the beginning of our little thing before we do the show, I thought today was the day we were doing the book interview. So I have been
the 19th.
I know that, but I have been cramming like crazy, which is actually a good thing because this book has helped me a lot this week and just processing a lot of my emotions, processing a lot of, shall we say, negativity, a lot of confusion, how it takes down our vibrational level. And she offers a lot of quick go-to exercises in here that I've already started playing with, playing with. It's ingenious. I really want to talk to her. So I'm looking forward to the interview.
Well, yeah, and energy is just there. We can either use it, we can either learn to master it or not. Yeah, so if you would like to join our Book of the Month Club, Diane Wing will be in our studios next week. That is November 19th. Is that the week of Thanksgiving?
No, I think I'd have to look at my
I
calendar.
think it might be the week
after
before
that.
Thanksgiving.
I can look on my calendar on my
Let's see.
phone very quickly here.
Thanksgiving is the 28th. No, so it's the week before Thanksgiving. So it shouldn't
is
be
the week before.
Yeah, so that's next week, 19th, at 6:30. Excuse me. 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and floor will be open to questions with the author, and of course, the author will also be reading sections from the book. The biggest takeaway that you've taken from the book so far would be what? Because I know how I feel about this book. You can see I've already got my notes and everything.
I think what I said, I was talking about, because there are so many of us going through a concurrency of emotions, feelings, devastation, fear. Now, I also acknowledge there's half the country that's celebrating, but a lot of us, this book is very timely. I think you intuitively chose this book at the perfect time.
Yeah, that is why I chose it for November, because it was the election month. Yeah,
it's going to be I promise you, it's going to be quite healing for a lot of people. It's going to be revealing to people. It may bring up things you don't want to see, you're not ready for, but she walks you through the steps. She gives you exercises. She explains things. In fact, what occurred to me, because, I've been reading spiritual books for like the last 30, 40 years. She somehow summed it all up into one big handbook here and did it very well. That was my first impression of it.
She knew what she knew, and she stuck to the subject that she knew. That's the main thing that I would say.
Yeah, I already know questions I want to ask her, like how much of this was just research, just nuts and bolts research, and how much of it did she channel intuitively? Because I feel like it's a combination of both.
Yes. Well, yeah, those are definitely questions we will ask her. If you have a book, if you are a writer, are you a writer by any chance? Are you a writer? Write us here, write us. If you have written a book and you would like us to review it on Taco Tuesdays, once a month, we select a writer from our local community. So if you would like to consider one of your books for Taco Tuesday, please send it to Dr. Whimsy Anderson, care of Dr. Whimsy Anderson, 1819 5th Avenue, Southwest 5th Avenue, Portland, Oregon, Suite 116-97201. The information is below. Woo! I'm getting old.
You know something, Whimsy? I'm glad I'm not the only one who has brain farts like that. Last week, I blanked out on my PIN number on my debit card. And I'm like,
oh, I hate when I do that. It just makes me feel like,
is this early Alzheimer's or something? Thankfully it came back, but I actually blanked, and it was so embarrassing. I was standing there at the grocery store, ready to pay for groceries, put in my debit card. What's my debit? What's my PIN number? What's my PIN number? And I've used it forever. Maybe it's just all the trauma we've been through this week.
Well, you know what I think would make us all feel better is if we maybe did the empath's prayer, and then we got to the hot topics, and then who knows, maybe we do some blitzes. What do you say, Chuck?
I think that's a great idea. Let's go.
Now, many of you were kind enough to send me your comments and your questions through my email at whimsyanderson@gmail.com. And if you do that, then of course, Chuck and I will do everything in our power to do the research, and then we usually have a pre-show meeting and a list of topics. We've been good about that, Chuck, haven't we?
Yes, we have. I think we've been good about it. Yes,
we've been good. So if we did not get to your question, then we apologize, because we do hear you.
Oh,
and I feel like we should be playing some smooth jazz right about now while I have this conversation.
Oh, yes, something nice and mellow.
Because it's you. Yes. Way to touch me. Na, 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 na. I don't know. I don't know. We could make up some song, but
Uh,
I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But my point is that Chuck and I do diligently pre-arrange the show based on request emails that come from you. And so, having said that, I can say with complete conviction that the number one conversation for the group is: do you feel that this election was stolen?
oh.
Is this the will of the American people?
I have spoken to a number of intuitive friends who do feel that there was some manipulation behind the scenes, but there also seems to be a consensus that it wasn't enough to have turned this around in the other direction. But definitely some things went on. I mean, certainly Elon Musk alone, basically Trump has been bought and sold, in my opinion, by Elon. The way he's manipulated the Republican Party, paying off, their debts. But
that's correct. I mean,
yeah,
basically, the Republican Party was bankrupted.
yeah,
What Musk inherited was nothing. He didn't inherit much of anything. He inherited a bankrupted party with an aging politician in diapers that was basically washed up, and that is what Elon Musk inherited. And so it didn't take a lot of money for the wealthiest man in the world to basically buy the Republican Party, and that's what
no,
I believe he did.
no. The fact that he's already being referred to as a shadow vice president, he sat in on the phone conference with Putin last week. I mean, there's just no telling how much power he's going to have behind the scenes. So, I mean, I have to believe there was some influence there with the election. Who knows what Russian interference, misplaced votes. We can go on and on. But the consensus I'm hearing from people, it wouldn't have been enough to have gone in Kamala's favor.
Right. So Wendy Burt is saying that she heard that there's a rumor going around that Ramaswamy is going to, and Vivek is going to have the Department of Efficiency. I don't think, not so fast. First off, to create a department, the amount of work that goes into being able to create such a department, let alone giving the power of giving such a power to a department that does not exist to dismantle other departments, all sounds pretty sketchy to me. What say
Yeah.
you, Chuck? What do you
Well,
think?
I mean, I'm just wondering about a number of departments that are being talked about being eliminated, like the Department of Education.
Yes.
RFK Jr. Wanting to gut out the FDA and eliminate departments there, like nutrition, for example. And I even wonder, because you and I both have worked in the health industry. I sold supplements for many years, acted as a nutritionist. I'm wondering, what is the future of our supplements going to be? Things like that. Department of Education, when they finance so many subdivisions, like special education needs and so forth, what's going to happen? And can all that be eliminated so easily? It's going to be a real test.
Well, Wendy Burt says that it was just reported that Elon Musk is going to be a new agency, which it stands for DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah.
And the Dodgy coin is the coin he likes because it's dodgy, doggy. And he gets people to do a run on the coin, and then he pulls his, and then it collapses, and then he takes his profits from the dodgy coin and has been buying up crypto, which is why one of the reasons why the SEC wants to talk to Elon Musk. But so it's a joke that he's going to call it dodgy, Department of Government Efficiency, because everything is a joke for him. But I don't know what kind of laws are in place in DC where you can just come along and say, I'm going to start a new department.
Well, exactly.
Who's going to pay for it? That's not part of the existing congressional budget, and has now been granted the powers to dismantle other departments. Sounds pretty bizarre to me. I don't know.
It strikes me as very superficial. just go, oh, we're going to eliminate this department, we're going to eliminate that. No, it's far, as you said, it's far more complex than that. Many laws in place already, many repercussions, much that would just fall apart and collapse if you just suddenly abolish these things. That's why I wonder how much of this is just hot air. It's just talk. It's hyperbole, and how much of it is fact. And I think that's part of what we're so fearful of, because we've been so battered and gaslit for so long that we don't know what to expect with this new administration, other than it certainly looks scary.
Well, I think on that note, do you people want to do some blitzes? Do you want to blitz away?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And of course, if you want to be included in these collective reading, if you want us to pray for you or those you love, we can certainly include you in our collective reading. If you know the empath prayer, you can go ahead and join us. And then if you have any questions for us in the next 30 minutes or so, we'll make sure and get to all those questions. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Are we ready to rock and roll?
We're ready to rock and roll.
All right.
Let's
do it. Blitz away. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen.
Amen.
So you wanted to tackle the first one. What do you think about this whole government agency? Do you think that they'll be able to create such an agency? How are such agencies created? Where would they get the budget? How would they easily get it approved through Congress? Do you want to just see if this is going to become reality or if it's just a joke?
Let's see where we start with this. I'm going to just start shuffling cards here. Just go for whatever comes up. Well, I had several things drop out here, and I've got to decide how I even feel about this, because initially in this purpose, the two cards that fell out behind that were despair and suffering. Like, a lot of people are going to get hurt no matter what's happening here. And I'm getting that ultimately there is going to have to be, I saw these two cards here, there's going to have to be balance and compromise. There has to be, but there's going to be a lot of competition, a lot of opposing opinions, opposing forces, butting of heads, which could certainly get in the way of all of that. We certainly know how that often turns out when nobody can agree. That's what I got. I can keep seeing if other cards pull out, but I'd be curious what you have.
Yeah, I mean, first off, scholarship, efficiency. So you have the scholarship going over the issue. Basically, it is true. It's based somewhat on the truth in the sense that they are looking at multiple agencies coming together to see. They're constantly seeing about ways that those existing companies can be more efficient. That is not the same as us saying we're going to shut down the Department of Education. We're going to shut down the FDA, etc.
Yeah.
What they're saying to me is that they kind of like screwing with the Democrats' head. Look, watch them get hysteric. And they laugh like the psychopaths that they are, when the truth of the matter is we should be calm and in touch with reality and realize as intelligent adults that understand something about civics that you don't just open up a new department or a new committee in Congress without there's things that have to happen, and certainly not a budget for such a thing, and then hire somebody. It just doesn't work like that.
No.
But what will happen once we get past the bullshit, which is just a tactic to manipulate and make Democrats hysterical, is that there is going to be an account and a reckoning that's done. And I can say that because the seventh house is traditionally the immediate environment regarding the question, which had to do with the state of health of these agencies. And the hermit comes in. So they're looking under the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And then their opposition is the King of Cups, which is, that could be a Cancer female and Elon Musk, or a Cancer male, excuse me. And Elon Musk is a Cancer male. So
you're Cancer. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe he's
I'm a
born
Cancer.
in July. That's okay. Well, they're great people mostly. But what he is saying, to do a deep dive of digging in and finding where you can cut and eliminate, is not something that is new or radical. And the idea is to just be efficient in business, Ace of Wands, and then King of Swords. And it's this idea of cutting the fat or any kind of expenses that shouldn't be there in the business. And regarding the issue, though, of whether or not they'll be able to tear things down, I don't think so. There are going to be 2 presidents this term.
You have said that before. Trump's not going to make it through. Can I just throw out something real quick? I just got hit listening to you talk. We are dealing with master gaslighters here. Probably some of the biggest gaslighters in the history of the world. Donald Trump, I believe that. Elon Musk. And we know how gaslighters operate, manipulate us, scare us, make us feel battered, confused, not knowing where to go. And we have to hold on to that and remember that and not fall for it. Hold on to our own truth, not allow ourselves to be gaslit so easily. That's
right. And if you feel like a loser, or you feel like they're taking away what little power we thought we had as voting Americans, then that's because you're just picking up on the world that they live in.
Yes.
In this world, there are eat or be eaten, and they plan on eating a good meal, right? So that's the predator. They're going to have their steak and potatoes. They're going to have their slave. They're going to treat women like breeders. That's the world we're dealing with. I mean, as dark and horrible and awful as The Handmaid's Tale is, there are people they're so frightened and terrified as men that that's really the world that they operate in.
Sure.
But this Temperance card coming over this Hermit leads me to think it's very sobering work. However, I see problems ahead for Elon Musk, like he's the charlatan or the criminal that has to flee the area because he's been found out to be a con artist. It's like he's the Wizard of Oz, but he's really not a wizard, because you've got this King of Cups fleeing like a thief the area.
I think that's a good analogy. The Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Just a big facade. Yeah, I have sensed that for a long time, that the truth of Trump eventually is going to come out. The emperor has no clothes. A lot of people are going to be forced to see the truth. Maybe it's going to take having their lives hurt, decimated, or what have you. Maybe it's going to take having a sister or a spouse or a daughter die from a miscarriage, or have your Social Security taken away from you, whatever. I hope and pray I'm wrong on this, but maybe it's going to take calamities like that to finally wake people up. People who voted this way in these states.
Yeah, hope and fears.
I hope that's not audacious of me to say something like that.
Yeah, hopes and fears, 6 of Wands, Ace of Wands. It's all about government efficiency. And then you have these 2 presidents here.
Yeah. In fact, Whimsy, do you have more to elaborate upon that? I know you've talked about it in some of your other shows, but you strongly seem to feel that Trump is not going to last.
It's really strange. It's really strange. Now, I keep saying to myself, am I calm because I'm just completely in denial and think I don't believe any of this paranoid crap about how they're going to take over the world? And I think that's just a bunch of propaganda.
Yeah, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong.
They're conservative, but I mean, come on, how bad? And then I remember that I am a remote viewer, and I put myself in the shoes of the other, and I try and think about what do I want as the white man who is a member of the Heritage Foundation, who's putting all of my money into these politicians. And what I want is I want control. I want complete control. And so you're going to have to go along with me doing what I want to you because you've got no choice. I want control. I'm going to have my control.
Yeah.
You're my slave. You're going to make my dinner. You're going to have sex with me. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. This is the world that they believe is their divine right. And they're going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that chaos has reigned with all this nonsense with feminism.
Mm-hmm.
And daddy's home, just like they were joking about daddy's home. That is precisely how they think. Daddy's home, and they're going to beat us back into submission, back into the burqa, and stop this nonsense called human rights and equality for all, because they don't believe in any of that. They think it's complete nonsense. Men are superior. Men are born to be superior.
It's seemingly a lot of people voted for a white male autocracy.
Yes.
With all the misogyny, everything that comes with that. But a small group trying to exert their power and authority on the rest of us.
Yeah, none of these people who are in DC right now, and this is something that I think we have to really wrap our heads around. None of these people think that any of us that are female are people.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I keep thinking back to what you say about, is it Oshun? Who's
the goddess Oshun.
But isn't she also like a destroyer? She's going to destroy what is not working, clean it out.
Well, Olakun is the destroyer.
Okay. I'm sorry, I had that wrong, but I just still, you see, I always felt one of the reasons I believed Kamala was going to win, because I'm a big believer that female energy is going to take over the world. You know, that male energy has not been working. It's time for the feminine energy. I thought Kamala as our president would have been not only the most powerful woman, the most powerful human on the planet. And that was the start of this. But maybe there is a process. Maybe we have to go through the darkest of this to finally shed it. I don't know if that's correct.
Or it could be that that human beings like to enslave one another. If you're looking at the history of slavery, or if you're getting into the dark, ugly recesses of the people that I've been connecting with, they are okay with rape. They don't consider rape is a man's business in their world. If a man rapes his slave, it's his own business. If he beats his wife, it's his own business, because that's his property.
Yeah, I was just going to say, treating a woman as his property, treating a woman like she's just nothing more than a piece of meat.
Yeah, so I think the first thing we have to do if we want to do anything to make the world better is we have to first acknowledge what these people truly think of us, and what they truly think of women of a certain age. They want us to disappear. Our lives, we are motherless cat ladies.
Yeah, so demeaning. But it's like I feel like people need to acknowledge the cruelty within themselves. There are a lot of people who just cannot go there, or it's such deep, low self-loathing, deep insecurity that they have to take away the power and freedoms of another, and men wanting to oppress women in this way. And I hope and pray the universe will not support this much longer, if at all.
So next thing on the list had to do with whether or not Trump would even be sworn in. This was one of the main questions people had, because he is a sworn felon. It was one of the main questions that people asked me over and over and over again. How could a sworn felon who was found guilty for the Stormy Daniels payments be in this situation? Isn't that basically obstructing the rule of law, which would prevent him from being eligible for the White House? What say you about that?
Well, I mean, he's already run on the promise that he is going to throw everything out the window. He's going to allegedly throw out the Constitution. He's going to throw out existing laws, and he's been given the full blessing of the Supreme Court to do this. But I mean, for me personally, and with a lot of the people I've spoken to, and I've spoken to a lot, including your people, there's just this general depression right now, because here's a man who incited an insurrection, a convicted felon who apparently is not going to go to jail, accused by 26 women of sexual abuse, found guilty of sexual assault, and he's going back to the White House.
Well, he hasn't even been charged. There's a couple of things you didn't mention here as well. One of the things you didn't mention is you didn't mention the stolen documents.
Thank you.
The previous collusion to get elected in the first place.
I know. Well, that's
his history of criminal activity when it came to real estate and the mob back in New York prior to this.
Here in LA, I've talked to a lot of
his
people.
Human trafficking links with Epstein. I mean, do you want to keep going, honey? Because how long is this TV? How long is this
have an
TV
hour
show?
Yeah, but I was just going to say quickly, living here in LA, I have talked to people who knew Trump back in the New York days. And I mean, that alone, if there truly is a biblical hell, he deserves to be on a rotisserie spinning over a fire just for that alone. I mean, a horrible, horrible man. His own niece said are you okay, Whimsy?
Oh, yeah. It just was pinching my ear for some reason. I don't know.
But his own niece, Mary, said, my uncle does not have one single redeeming quality. Not one.
That's kind of rather depressing when your niece feels that way. So let's go ahead and let's try and get to this question. My food is going to be here in about 5 minutes. I have a delivery. I have my my Instacart. Actually, it's my Whole Foods. It's very convenient. They deliver. It's fantastic. Yes.
Ooh.
Well, at night, women, we are afraid to go out at night, particularly downtown Portland. So I just, But yes, so I have a couple things that are coming. But so what do you think? Mitch McConnell, are they going to block Trump from entering the White House? Let's take a look. What do you think?
I thought you were going to show the video there. When you said, let's take a look.
I did. I did show you the video. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm sorry. That was me. I was listening to what you were saying. I'm just going to go through cards, see what comes up. Is Mitch McConnell going to block? Well, I'm not getting much here. I think the hit I'm getting offhand, it's still very nebulous, but I got restriction. Like, maybe they'll slap him on the wrist. There'll be a little something, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep him out. That's what I'm getting by that restriction. I did get new beginnings, like some things are going to come out of this that are going to be positive, oddly enough. And I don't know what that would be. But it's like what we talk about the truth coming to the surface. Maybe if nothing else, it's going to reveal.
His truth is marching on. Well, I think that Mitch McConnell wants him out. I think that there are Republicans and independents that remember January 6th and what was her name? Murkowski. They don't want this lunatic. They want him gone. They want him gone. They want this nut job gone.
Well, there are enough people in the know, in power, who know he's a raving lunatic. I think.
Do they even need him? Get rid of him. You already got Vance because
that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, Mitch McConnell gets his wish. Regarding the other who looks to 3 of Wands, do you even know what you believe in? We do know he's going to be hard on Iran, which is actually a good thing. A lot of people one of the things that people were disappointed was that more wasn't done about Iran because the people are suffering in Iran, and that Biden should have done more about Iran.
Yeah.
Well, and now they're bombing Israel. They're a threat to the entire area. So hopes and fears, the tower could be a falling out. And then the final outcome is the Hierophant, which means the Constitution wins. It's almost like, it goes back to what was the karma about Mitch McConnell. He must cut the head off the beast. He cannot escape his karma. We've talked about this over and over and over again. Either he
Yeah.
cuts the head off the beast in this incarnation, or he's going to have to go back and do it again. Those two in this little game of life have something to work out between the two of them. I don't know what it is, but it always seems to suggest that he has no choice, but that it's ultimately Mitch McConnell that's in the situation where he has to cut the head off the beast.
Yeah, I even wonder how much of it is retribution, because it's been said for years that McConnell cannot stand Trump, but was using Trump because he was a distraction, so the Republicans could get through things they really wanted to do behind the scenes.
Right.
But maybe now that, because Mitch is out, he's going to be out soon, and maybe this is his swan song. This is his last hurrah. This is his FU to Trump.
Can you imagine being that screwed up where this is the world you live in, where you think women are not really people?
Well,
that you have to boss them around as I'm the man, and all these problems started to happen when we went against the natural order.
Oh,
man is in charge of the woman. Woman is in charge of the house. Like, can you imagine? I would commit suicide if I had to live in such a world. I mean, it would be a damn nightmare for somebody like me.
Well, of course, it's reprehensible. I can't stand that kind of thinking. But I come from Virginia, a little town. I've known people who do think in misogynistic terms like that. I've heard it. I think this election revealed there are a lot of people who seem to feel that way. But I just do not believe that will be supported. It can't be supported.
Okay, so before we close, there's been a lot of conversations. It's become very popular in the news, and I thought it might be nice for us to have a general conversation, and we can certainly keep the conversation about politics going on as well, which has to do with the fact that there's an explosion of this new passion for astrology. Now, I don't know when you first found out about astrology, but my mother was an astrologer. And she used to actually do the astrological charts by hand. She would actually make the circle. She would take a bowl and she would make it round. She would have to take one of those pens that you get from geometry and make the circles and stuff.
Yes.
I mean, they did it. She did it literally. And she wrote it out in her classic hand and stuff. And she would do it for people. And
I don't think you've ever told me this about your mother.
Yeah, quite a good astrologer. And so she did my astrology charts on all the children. And my question to you is, and I don't know if this is just a fad because everybody wants to be in on the fun. Sorry, this is not showing up as well this article as I'd want, but it's this idea that everybody wants to be a psychic, but not many people want to be remote viewers. I don't know why. I think we're a fun group of people. It's really the popularity of astrology and this idea that things are going on in the heavens that maybe you and I don't totally understand, that are having some kind of impact on what's going on with us mere humans here on Earth. Do you have any feelings? Do you take about it? Do you take astrology with a grain of salt? Do you think there's any truth to it?
Oh, I believe in astrology devoutly, simply because I've had it proven to me so many times. I've had numerous charts done, forecasts that have been extraordinarily accurate, and I'm always amazed at how accurately it describes personalities of people. Right? It just nails people. There has to be something to it, when it is done correctly. I think a lot of people are drawn to things like astrology because they're just, when we're in uncertainty, like right now, there's always a fear, and there's something comforting maybe about astrology, something that tells us this is what's going to happen, this is how it's going to work through. I mean, I certainly know enough about astrology to know it's also I think of it like a weather forecast. It's not like it's set in stone, this is how it's going to be, but like a weather forecast, it'll tell you it's likely going to rain today, so bring your umbrella and your jacket, things like that. It does help to prepare for what's happening.
I think that's a really good. I think that's a really good way of saying it, because as a person who's a professional reader, it's amazing. We are not really allowed. We're not really allowed to screw up. We have to be right all the time.
Yeah.
even if I do really, really good work, like when I went into Prigozhin's documents and the fact that he was working with British intelligence and that they were going to go in and he was going to march on Moscow. This was some 007 research on my part. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I gave a great remote view, right? I mean, the details, sometimes I can get in, and sometimes when I'm in that trance and I'm like looking at things, is that what's going on? Oh my God. And then I see it and then I start writing it down. I'm like, I figured it out. I figured this out. When I get into those states and then I think, I'm going to get some award as best psychic of the year or something. I don't know. But then if we get anything wrong, if we ever we're never entitled to get anything wrong ever.
Yeah.
We have to be 100. Even a surgeon, even the greatest surgeon in the world is not going to be 100%.
Well, exactly.
No one is infallible. We're not Jesus of Nazareth. I mean,
exactly. And
we're just psychics,
And Whimsy, wouldn't you agree that it's more of an art than a science anyway?
Well, we know it works because in the case of remote viewing, they've done studies. And if it was 50-50 where they've done blind studies, we do blind studies because we meet once a week, our team. We have a team of people that get together and do remote viewing, and we study it together on Fridays at 6 p.m. if you want to join us, if you're a member. And certification if you're at the Elders Empath level. But the idea is to see just how close you can get to the target and what you can see, feel, or sense about the person on the other side of the room. We have the picture, we have the information. It could be Attila the Hun, it could be Adolf Hitler, it could be, Princess Margaret. Nobody knows because it's all been randomly selected by the computer. And what we find is what the research finds, which it is greater than 50% accuracy. So it's not a coincidence. They tend to know the gender, 70 to 80% accuracy on the gender. They know when they come into the gender if they're feeling more of a masculine or a feminine energy, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
They know if they're feeling scared. Why, what about this person is making me feel scared or uncomfortable right now? So these are making me giggle. We're doing, I think we did Goldahan and everybody was laughing and feeling giggly. One day we did Robin Williams and everybody felt, I have a generous heart. He kept talking about it. My heart is generous, right? So, we live in a world where I think human beings have the capacity to be far more empathetic than we realize.
Yes.
But it's different than astrology because where I'm kind of on the fence about with astrology is it's this idea that if there's a solar flare, it's going to affect us. If a planet shifts. And while I think astrology from an historical perspective is fascinating that people would look at the changes in the planets and believe it had an impact. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I'm still a little bit on the fence. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've just seen too many examples of when there's something in the collective consciousness, or for example, this week, several of my friends have been going through a lot of anger, angst, where is this coming from? And I would love to look at an astrological chart right now to see if there's anything behind that. I know we have a full moon coming up this week that can affect
Don't you think it just has to do with the election, though?
Well, it could, but this seems to be these are personal friends who seem to have other issues besides the election. That's just an observation I've had. But it just seems like, you mentioned something like a solar flare, a full moon or something. Sometimes when I look into the astrological meaning, go online, I will see that it does correlate. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. But it's like what I said earlier. I try to look at it as that this is not a mandate. This is not set in stone. It's just giving me circumstances. I said about the weather forecast. I think we have to be careful with all of these things, numerology, astrology, readings, and ultimately listen to what's within ourselves, our own intuition. and how it
Well, I
rests.
think, and I think the other thing is, what about free choice? Are people going to say, "Well, I shot my husband because I was having a solar flare experience"? It's like I
Yeah.
mean, uh, it's an interesting idea for me,
Uh-huh.
but it's also this idea of how much is free choice and how much is predetermined.
Certainly.
How much of our personalities is
Well,
predetermined.
yeah, because I've had people use it as an excuse, I have a friend who's a Capricorn, and he goes, "Oh, this is the reason I'm aloof. This is the reason I want to be to myself. This is why I don't speak to people for long periods." And I thought, you're just giving your excuse to be an asshole. We're as human beings, we rise above things like that. But
Right.
I've known people to use their astrology as an excuse.
Wow. Well, did you have fun today, Mr.
I
Chucky
did.
Poo?
I did.
Yes.
I've been looking forward to this Whimsy. We didn't do our show last week
No,
because
because
the
it was November
election,
5th. No, we didn't do it. We didn't do it.
and because of all that's happened, I've been just looking forward
I
to
had a
being with
bad
you.
feeling and I didn't want to be there when the ship went down. I'm like,
I saw
I was
you
like,
talk about it. Yeah.
I think I'm going to take off Taco Tuesdays.
I think you did the right thing because
And yeah,
you're too honest. There's no way we could have done the show and not have questions. Well, who's going to win the election tonight?
I just had a bad
Yeah.
feeling.
Well, I had sensed that from you for quite a while. I think a lot of us just wanted this outcome so badly because if you've seen a lot of the YouTube astrologers, psychics, readers, I'd say 98% of them said Kamala Harris was going to win. And the next day after the election, it was a lot of mea culpas right
Well,
down the
they
line.
say that she did win in the sense that she was the most popular and the majority of the American people. And so I think we sensed what was the will of the people. But the problem is that
Yeah.
Democrats did not vote.
Yes.
So I think that what happened in defense of my fellow psychics, we could feel the thrill, we could feel the energy, and we could
Mhm,
feel the will of the people.
mhm.
But what leaves me gobsmacked and confused is why didn't those same people go out and then vote? What
I
happened
wo
to your vote?
I wondered that also.
And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
the vote was stolen. I'm saying,
Yeah.
did people just think that it was a shoo-in for her and they didn't have to?
Well, that's what I'm starting to wonder, and which surprises me because we saw what happened with Hillary Clinton, but maybe people have short memories. I look at all the people who said, "Oh, if I'd only known, I would have gone out and voted if I had seen how close it was going to be." Maybe we've got people having remorse right now. I don't know. It's too late. Not
Only
much
time will tell. Only
time
time
will
will tell.
tell.
Well, what are you up to before we close? I think we're going to have to close the show. Anything
Well,
we need to know about what you're up to this coming week?
Well, I'm gonna be working for you, and I'm gonna be finishing some art consignments. I'm doing a portrait of a woman's grandchildren. She's going to give us a Christmas gift, so I want to get that finished this week. And
Beautiful, lovely.
basically, I'm actually going to be. Sorry to hold it upside down. I'm going to be studying this book more, and I'm not just saying this because we're going to be interviewing her next
Oh,
week.
I
I
think it's
really want to
particularly
go
if you're
deeper into it.
somebody, somebody like an actor, someone like you. This I
Mhm.
think is a vital book to read.
Uh,
If anyone is trying to get a psychic reading with you, how do they reach out and
Oh,
contact
they
you?
can reach me. If you can see my name there, Chuck Dransfield, it's just dransfieldchuck@gmail.com, all one word, or you can reach me on Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, my YouTube channel, but probably just my Gmail is the easiest way to reach
Yes,
me.
and that's also true if they want to commission you for a spirit painting. He can channel
Absolutely.
those who have passed to try and get messages from those who've passed, or just a painting of anyone that you care about as well.
Yes, indeed. And it's always my honor when someone asks me to do that. I put a lot of love into these portraits, especially when I know it's going to someone. It's going to be a gift for their family or something like that. And I just had someone here say, "Chuck, I'm from Concord, Virginia. Is that near where you're from?" Well, I was from the Giles County, a little town called Narrows. I think, did you mean Concord near West Virginia? I think maybe. Anyway, someone was just asking that. It was,
Wow, how fascinating.
yeah.
Yeah, close by. All right, everyone. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, please find the information below. Be kind to all. so that all will be kind to you too. Thank you so much for your love and support of the channel.
Oh,
We
thank you,
appreciate
everybody.
you.
We very much appreciate you.
God bless.
Bye.
Peace out. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.